Scientists took the way a smart AI thinks, the exact pattern it runs inside, copied it, and poured it into a weaker model. And problems that weaker model used to get wrong every single time, it suddenly started solving more than half of them.
No, I don't buy that. You don't just copy how one thing thinks and paste it into a dumber one. So convince me by the end, because right now, that sounds made up.
And that reaction is fair. So let's start with the picture we all carry. When you hear an AI learned to reason, you imagine it just got smarter, like a student who studied more, sharper at every little step. Hold on to that picture, because this paper, out in July 2026, says that is not what changed.
Okay, so what did change?
3 things are coming. There's a hidden set of thinking gears nobody could see. There's a weak model lifted off the floor by borrowing them. And there's one test that could have proven the whole idea was a mirage. And this touches you whenever your chatbot slows down to think, or when you use a model built for reasoning, like DeepSeek. It's a look at what that extra training actually rewired inside.
But wait, how do you even watch an AI think? It's just words on a screen, right?
Right, and that's the wall. You can't read its mind from the words. So they found another way in, and what they saw breaks that studied harder picture completely. As a model works through a problem, you can watch its internal state, a kind of live readout of what's going on inside as it thinks, not what it says, but how its mind moves. And when they tracked that movement, the model wasn't thinking in one smooth stream. It kept dropping into a few distinct modes, like gears in a car. A planning gear, a calculating gear, and a checking your work gear. It holds one for a while, then shifts.
Okay, but every AI probably does that a little. Why is that the big deal?
Because here's the split. The plain base model, before any reasoning training, grinds. It flickers between gears, never settling, like someone who can't work a stick shift. The reasoning-trained model shifts cleanly and holds each gear. And if it really learned to hold a gear, those stretches should get longer. They did. On the same problems, the base model stayed in one mode for roughly 3 sentences of thinking. The reasoning model held it for nearly 9, about 3 times longer.
Hang on, though. Let me push on this. That's you drawing gears onto a pile of numbers. How do you know the gears are actually there and not a shape you wanted to see?
That's the exact worry. And they had one clean test. If the modes are real, they live in the order of the thinking. Step 1 leads to step 2 leads to step 3. So they scrambled the order and shuffled the sentences.
And?
The whole structure fell apart. Every bit of pattern that made reasoning models look organized flipped to worse than nothing. So it wasn't hiding in the numbers themselves, it was in the sequence, the flow of the thinking over time. It was real, and it was built out of order. Which sets up the part that stuck with me. If these gears are a real, movable thing, could you take them out of the smart model and hand them to a weak one?
Without retraining it?
Without touching a single one of its weights. They fed the smart model's shifting pattern into the weak model live, while it worked, and aimed it at problems the weak model had failed 8 times out of 8. It was a floor of pure 0. And on the very problems it had never once gotten right, it started solving more than half of them. That's up from 0.
Okay, that's the thing I just called made up.
So flip the picture we started with. The model didn't study harder and sharpen every step. Reasoning training found rough thinking gears already faintly there in the base model and sharpened them. Clean shifts and longer holds. And because that's a pattern and not new facts, you can lift it out and drop it into a weaker model.
Though I'd hold back on one thing. This was only ever tested on step-by-step math problems, not an AI using tools, not one planning your week, and not the assistant reading your medical scan. Outside that narrow lane, nobody's shown these gears are there.
Fair. It's a narrow lane, but it's a real result. And even there, the smarts were never what changed. It was learning when to shift gears.
So here's what I keep coming back to. If a weaker AI can only handle a hard problem by borrowing a smarter one's thinking pattern, would you trust its answer more or less? Go pick a side in the comments.
And we pull apart a strange new AI paper like this one every single day. So subscribe, and tomorrow's finds you.
Turns out the smart one wasn't thinking harder. It just learned when to change gears.